And Pastor Ray is going to have our children's story, and then Joey will have special music.
Well, maybe the adults will, maybe it's more of an adult story, we'll make it that way. But when I was a young pastor, I was in Louisiana. In fact, I was pastor of two churches about 50 miles apart, Hammond, Louisiana, and Gonzales. And I went to the Gonzales church. I lived in Hammond. Gonzales is not too far from Baton Rouge. Anyway, that was back in the days when they had the military pretty strong. Guys had to register for the Army when they was 18. And they even had exempt you if you studied to be a doctor, but when you became a doctor, you had to spend a couple of years in the military. And we had a young Adventist doctor that went to our Gonzales church. And he told me, he said, my duties is a doctor at a leper colony. Now they had what they called a leper colony. I guess there were two of them in the United States. One was in Chicago, and the other was near Gonzales, Louisiana, which is not too far from Baton Rouge. And his assignment was to be the doctor at this leper colony. And he said, you need to come because there's two Adventists in this leper colony that have leprosy. And so first time I went there, I noticed they had a big old rock fence all the way around the grounds, kind of like an army base. The fence, like I say, was made of high rock, not water that you could go through. And then there was a gate there that you had to tell your business, and they would let you in the area. And they had a large hospital where the patients, many of the patients were kept. They had those that couldn't care for themselves were in the hospital part, but the other part of the hospital was rooms where they could just have private rooms. Then if two lepers got married, outside the hospital, they had little small apartments, about 2 rooms, large enough for a couple of lepers to stay in together. And anyway, that's a little description of the hospital. Well, as I mentioned, I had 2 churches about 50 miles apart. And on Sabbath, I'd preach at one, and the next Sabbath, the other. And on Wednesday night, I'd be in Hammond, where I live, for prayer meeting. Then Thursday morning, I'd go to Gonzales and spend the day visiting and then have prayer meeting there. And of course, since I had members in the leper hospital, during the day I'd go and visit them. And it's interesting, you know, if you didn't have leprosy too bad, you might not can tell that you had it. But those that had it for a long time that wasn't cured, they have maybe scars all over their face, and even some sores, big leprosy sores on their face. It was very evident that something was wrong. But I spent a couple of years as pastor there and made many trips there to this leper hospital when I visit the members. I know one time I took the young people from my 2 churches there on Sabbath afternoon, and they liked for people to come in and have programs. They call these lepers in their little chapel, and then they have a stage where you could entertain them. So these young people from the church came in, these teenagers and junior age kids, and put on a program one Sabbath. Then another weekend, I remember Ozark Academy, which was our 12th grade boarding school in the conference. They sent out their choir to sing at different churches. And when they came to my district on the weekend, I asked them if they'd be interested in going to sing at the leper colony. Well, and actually those kids were. So I made arrangements for them to have a program there. Folks came into the chapel, and the young people were able to sing to them. And that was quite an experience. But, you know, even in this country, there's things that most people don't know about. And that was one of them. And I don't know if these, I understand these, both these hospitals are closed now, the one in Chicago and the one in Louisiana, perhaps. We don't have many lepers left in the state. But that was my experience way back in the early days of my ministry.